Welcome to the Book Report. This is the monthly show where I show you the stuff I've been reading all month. Let's get to it. Tommy loves stuff, where he talks about the things that he loves. Now let's get to the first book, and it's the only book I actually started reading this month. This is, and you'll see why, look how huge this baby is. This is 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. I'm only a little bit into it because it is such a large read and I got busy with a bunch of other stuff. But so far, so good. You will probably see this next month, maybe even the month after that. I'm a slow reader. But 50 pages in, good stuff. Did a little reading about some digital comics, and I filmed that a little bit earlier in the day. So let's go check that out. I read some digital comics via the Hoopla app. Now, if you don't know Hoopla, I'm not endorsed by Hoopla or anything. It's just an app I dig so much because it takes your library card. Number one, go get a library card, people. Why are you not? And it takes your library card and you can check out books digitally, but you can also check out comics, which is awesome because I've been reading comics that I either not had seen in the stores, missed, or, just can't afford to read. This one was called The Department of Truth, and it's written by James Tynion the Fourth. And great writer. I've read some of his Batman stuff or whatever. Really twisted dude. And this was about, imagine all the conspiracy theories that you've ever heard. If enough people believe in them, they suddenly become real. And this department is on the right side, we don't know, of the shutting down the conspiracies. And they have a new recruit, because there's always a new recruit. We have to see through their eyes. And this issue, the thing I read was the first 5 issues, so the first trade paperback. And it was great. The artwork was haunting. I had a nightmare about one of the dudes in there, like a vampire cape or whatever. If you know, you know. If you don't, read it. It was a great story. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read more. I've read Box Office Poison before by Alex Robinson, and I've talked about it in previous videos. This one was in color, and the first 5 issues, I don't know if they made more colorized versions, but the first 5 issues were available on Hoopla, and I scooped those up and read them so quickly, you have no idea. Anyway, I really like this story. I've always really liked this story. It's set in the 90s, and it follows a group of people, friends, I guess, who are like living their life, and then the trials and tribulations they go through with, trying to make it in New York, trying to make it in the profession they want to, falling in love, falling out of love. If you're a fan of, I don't want to say Friends, but like if you're a fan of like 90s sitcoms or stories about groups of people who are going through life together, definitely check out Box Office Poison. I cannot recommend it enough. It's one of my favorite reads that I go back to periodically every couple years. I've never seen it in color, but the real appeal to me of it and what I really dug was at the end, the writer kind of breaks down different panels where he's like, oh, I did this as a tribute to this comic that I grew up loving, or this person was my friend in the background, you could tell, or like I just straight up drew Velma from Scooby-Doo in there because I like Velma. That kind of inside stuff was what I really dug about these issues. I wish they had these all collected into a trade paperback with all the little side notes on the end, but I haven't found anything like that. If you know about it or whatever, and I don't, please leave it down in the comments. But yeah, Box Office Poison, cannot recommend it enough. Go out and read it. I love that app, Hoopla, man. It is dope. Anyway, let's check out some of the graphic novels I read this month. Read some of my older comics that I hadn't revisited in a long time, and that was really cool, man. Like, first off, we got G.I. Joe Cobra. This is by IDW Publishing, and it focuses on a G.I. Joe by the name of Chuckles. If you know your G.I. Joe, then you know already. If you don't, Chuckles was in the G.I. Joe cartoon movie from the 80s. Now, we ain't talking about the live action ones. We do not talk about those. They were not great. Anyway, so this is like, if you're a fan of The Departed, this is about Chuckles going undercover in the Cobra organization and trying to work his way up and everything that happened. There's murder. There's, backstabbing and stuff. I first read this maybe about 10 years ago, maybe 2010, 2011. And now in 2021, it was still a great read. Tucked inside it was the first issue of G.I. Joe Cobra 2, which was the spinoff that happened like maybe a year or two after. And I never followed up and got the other issues, unfortunately. I might have to go find those and see what's going on. I know there was a 3rd miniseries, and I didn't read that. But G.I. Joe Cobra was fantastic. A great read again. I really enjoyed it. Little story time with your boy, okay? Journey with me. Late 90s, I stopped reading comics. I know, right? Crazy? Why? Anyway, stopped reading comics in high school, like towards the end, like, maybe sophomore year on. And just lost interest in it, I guess. And then, but every now and again, when I'd be like at Safeway or Walgreens or something like that, I'd see a Wizard magazine. Now, for those of you who don't know, if you remember, you remember, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't know, Wizard magazine was a magazine all about comics. And it would come out every month. It'd have different articles from the artists, the writers. It'd even have like, what would be like if, Superman fought Wolverine and stuff like that. And it was really cool. I really enjoyed it. Cut to 1999, maybe 2000. I pick up a random Wizard magazine when I'm shopping for groceries. And I see they keep talking about this story called Rising Stars by J. Michael Straczynski. Sorry, tough name to say. And so I remember I was at a drugstore or something like that back when they sold comics regularly places. And I saw a random issue of Rising Stars. Now, later on, I would find out that was the start of Act 2. But I read it and it was fantastic, man. I was like, dang, this is comics now? And so now I decided to reread the Rising Stars trilogy. I had bought these, years and years ago, like maybe right when they first came out in trade paperback. This is Rising Stars Volume 1. It's called Born into Fire. It tells the story of 113 kids who were born during a comet or something like that that landed in Illinois. I think it was Illinois. Anyway, giving them all superpowers and how the world reacts to their powers, but more than that, how they grew up with each other. Now, someone starts killing the specials, which is what they're called, and it becomes a detective story by one of them to find out who's doing it, who's taking out their powers. This was incredible. Still a great read. Granted, I'm going to mention this each volume I talk about. They all kind of have their early 2000s tropes of, the people's proportions are really crazily drawn, especially the women. And but the storyline was great. I really dug it. And I wanted to read Volume 2 right away, which I did. This is Rising Stars Volume 2. It's titled Power. And like I said, this is the first issue I picked up of Rising Stars ever, was the first part of Act 2. And there's a lot of stuff, I can't give away spoilers, but a lot of stuff has happened with the specials, and they're all banding together or against one another. You'll see, like I said, I definitely recommend this. Like I said, the early 2000 tropes are there of like, the superhero women wearing next to nothing, and the superhero dudes just have traps that are up here or whatever, and like no pouches. Unfortunately, that was 90s cable, but like no pouches on their costumes, but like just huge out of proportion dudes. Anyway, but the story's there. The artwork was cool too, but like the story was there. Kind of like I enjoyed the first half of this, and then once that first arc in the second act ended, and we started to get to like, what the specials are going to do now, it was all right, But Act 1, Born in Fire, definitely pick that up. Pick this, pick up the whole trilogy if you want, because you're going to want to keep reading. But the middle of Act 2 is where I started to wane interest. But I decided to continue into Act 3. This is Rising Stars Volume 3. This is called Fire and Ash. It is the third and final act of the Rising Stars limited series. It's not a miniseries, limited series, I guess, because he ended it. I know in real life there was a whole bunch of production delays and years and months and whatever would go by between issues. But it was good to have them all collected. People don't talk about this story that much anymore, I feel like. But I really enjoyed it. The third act was probably my least favorite. It started with a bang, ended with a whimper as far as the 3 acts go. I haven't read any of the miniseries that came out. I know they're like 3 miniseries focusing on the, different specials and stuff like that. And I think I read maybe the issue 0 or issue half when those were big things that they used to do all the time. And those were pretty good. So maybe I'll look for that volume or something. But the main story is contained in these 3 trades. There's a compendium that has literally everything in there that you would ever want Rising Stars. But I haven't picked that up yet, or I may not. I may, if these get too old, who knows. But Rising Stars is a series that people don't talk about too much anymore. I really dug it. They even made a novelization of these 3 acts, which I've never seen, but I knew about. And yeah, definitely recommended. Great story. This guy's a good writer. He's written for Spider-Man, a whole bunch of other stuff. I could go on and on about JMS's. credentials. Rising Stars is definitely one you need to check out. All right, that was the books I checked out this month. A lot of great reads. Didn't get to as many as I usually do, but, quality over quantity, you know what I'm saying? If you like what you see or are mildly entertained, like and subscribe down here. Hit that bell notification in the corner. I don't know exactly where it's at. And do your boy a solid. Help spread the word about the Tommy Love Stuff channel, YouTube's best kept secret. Got a lot of great stuff. If you like books and comics, we have Tommy Reads X-Men, a show where I read each issue of X-Men and give my own unique take on it. We got a bunch of food reviews in the ChubCon section. Check the playlist and see what we got going. Be back here next month with another book report, but until then, please check out the other videos we got going on. Later.